was shitty. Even in the trailers that the Indian guy did, it was shitty.
Nobody noticed it but you. But
Yeah,
I mean,
no, it's very
I
even Gustavo. Gustavo is using what, this mic, MacBook mic, right, Gus?
no, I think
Probably.
he's
I
using his
think
AirPods thing.
Yeah,
AirPods.
AirPods. It's better
Yeah.
than this one. It was. Now it's not going to be.
For the
Again,
two
it's not-
sentences you're gonna say, what difference does it make what microphone you use?
It's all about
True.
the content. What you say.
Absolutely.
Have you
How's life
have you
going?
guys been watching the World Cup? Saidi, probably not.
No, I don't. I don't watch this stuff, man. I don't have the time,
To
unfortunately.
be honest, I've barely.
Nah.
Oh, you have not? Is it because it's in the U.S. and you don't like our country? Is that what it is?
Our there you go. the man that has 10% of the world in his blood. No, it's. I mean, I don't know. It's not. Spain had a good match against Cape Verde, which is all over the news because they just drew the game.
Isn't that a type of salsa?
What do you mean?
Cape Verde.
No,
Yeah.
verde. Verde, isn't that a salsa?
We have,
no
yeah,
idea.
we have a type of salsa which is in Portugal, which is called molho verde, which literally is green sauce.
Oh yeah, it's exactly it. It's like
Yeah.
this salsa
Salsa
verde.
verde,
It's
probably,
the
yeah.
green. It's the green salsa.
But hey, you saw what happened with the Cape Verde's goalkeeper social media. You
I
saw
have no
that?
idea what happened.
No. So the guy's name, or the nickname is Vozinha. Okay. So the guy started the game with, I think it was around 40K likes in his Instagram, followers in his Instagram account, and now I think it's up to 7 or 8 million. 7 or 8
But why? What
million.
happened? What did he do?
Yeah, well,
Did he-
so basically, the Portuguese television and the Brazil television, I don't know the channels, whatever. They started like, well, he did a great game, by the way, like great performance, and they started like pushing people to follow him on social media, and it went viral, and so now the guy is sitting on a 8 million or 7 million plus followers page.
wow, from 40,000
Yeah.
to 7-8 million. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, but
Sick.
now the question is, how valuable are those followers, right?
Well, you can go to, I think you can, like, if you go to a brand, or, well, probably brands will reach out to you, but like now your negotiation power is way
100%.
different. Like,
100%.
you know, like the visibility.
Yeah, because people are just paying for eyeballs, right? They don't really care. I mean, is there a way to find out how dense the firmographics are of this?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I guess there's, they probably have ratios about interactions and that some people may give more weight to it or not, but you don't just measure by followers, you measure by comments, reactions, and
Likes and
all of
engagement.
that together can signal if it is a strong following base or not.
True. Interactions matter a lot. Definitely.
Yeah, not just the I think it's the impressions is what they're called when people see your post and not react to it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I don't have Instagram. Like
Well,
yourself.
actually, now I'm starting to get more. Yeah, I deleted my app, by the way, my Instagram app. I still have
Why?
it, like, well, because I was kind of hooked on it. I don't know.
Do you
man. I
mean
was
you
doom
scroll
over
scrolling.
yourself?
I was doom scrolling a lot.
But what do you
So I just
scroll?
decided, like,
Do you write something? Do you type something and scroll through, or just a feed?
I'm just a spectator, But yeah, like that thing is really like, it hooks you up 100%. And apparently their algorithm is not to give you like great content. No, it's like great content, bad content. You don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want that. Now you want that, or you don't want that. You know. So they basically feed you, and yeah, they create this wave of attention. So you get hooked, and yeah.
Do you know
I
where
was
this comes
getting-
from?
No.
So there was a German scientist back in the 1930s, and I don't remember his name, von something something, and he was experimenting on rats. And one of the experiments that he did is that he installed a button in the cage of a rat. And what he would do is that in one cage, as soon as the rat would press the button, the food would come out of the chute, like every time. So what the rat would do is 2, 3, 4 times he would press the button, food comes, they would eat it. But in the other cage, what they did was that in a random time, when the rat is pressing the button, the food would come in. So he could press once and it would come in, but he would have to press again 30 times before food comes in the next time around. So the rat doesn't know when the food will come in. So what the rat would end up doing is he would keep pressing the button like 40, for 40 minutes straight, just trying to figure out when the food would come in. That's where they got this idea from, which is that it's similar to Tinder and dating applications. If you go in there and you find the right person right away within 5 minutes, well, you're most likely going to delete the app. Your engagement is going to be low because now you're going on a date, for instance. But if you're, like you said, you get a good match, but then you get like 100 crappy ones, you now have an incentive to keep coming back to the application, which is what it is with Instagram. They have engineered this after spending hundreds of millions of dollars.
Do you think that that logic should be applied in other industries?
It does.
Well,
it's
like
literally
for example,
applied everywhere.
It can't be applied in the food industry, for example.
Of course it does.
Well, of course it is. I mean, that's why they add sugar to it. There's colors to it.
No, that's not what... Oh, you're not getting it. No, that's not what I mean. Sure. I mean, like, you go to a place, okay? A restaurant. You go there the first time. Amazing experience.
Sure.
All right? You go there the second time, it has to be the same, at least, or similar experience. Like the food, okay? So you don't have that effect of good, bad, not good, not good, not good, not good, great, not good, not good, not good, great. You don't have that, and you have that in... well, Tinder and social media content.
You're conflating two different things, though. Yes, your point is right. You're conflating few things, though. When you go to a restaurant, it's not a daily occurrence. It takes friction to get to a restaurant. You probably will have to dress, get into the car, drive there, pay money, get the food.
All right.
Type thing. You know what I mean? But when you have an access in your pocket, which is your cell phone and Instagram, doesn't matter what the quality is. It's because you got the quality once. How many good posts do you see before you see crappy posts versus you go get to a good post? It takes a long time. Literally.
It's not only that. It's the notification system.
There is a reason why they're
brings
red.
you in.
Yeah.
By the way, the notification system, that's a good point, because here's one thing that I noticed. So when I had the Instagram app installed, because I was using it regularly, I almost get 0 notifications because I was opening it. Once I deleted it, like I was getting notifications every single hour, like random stuff. Like, here's a post for you or things like that.
How could you if you deleted it?
No, so I deleted, well, that's a first good question. I did not delete my account. I deleted the app. But still, like, well, wait. I think I removed it from the home screen. I think that's what happened. Okay?
Yeah, that's not
so
deletion.
Removed it from... Yeah, whatever. It's not like you don't have the trigger to open it.
That's like, dude, now you're giving the Diddy explanation.
Now we realize he works in the tech sector and he doesn't understand the difference.
Because the thing is that I don't recall if I deleted the app or I just removed it from the home screen. Whatever.
What is home screen? Like, what is that? What is that?
Like, it's not here. You don't open your phone and it's not here.
Oh, it doesn't show up on your phone at all?
Yeah, it doesn't show up. It shows if you search it.
You see the problem? he calls it home. That's
screen.
the problem.
Oh my god.
Well, it's the name of it.
Within the topic, I have a question. So I struggle with my bookmarks. So even if I do the scroll of doom on X sometimes.
On X.
Yeah. And when I find something cool, I bookmark it. I do split my interests. I do have like a separate email for broader topics that I want to make sure that it stays within that bubble of news. Let's put it that way. And I bookmark it, and then it's an infinite number of bookmarks. So it always feels topics. Like I need. Sorry.
Broader topics.
Yeah, for
example, like over here.
Like an email just for AI stuff, for example, so it doesn't catch up the noise.
There's an app for that.
Okay.
There you go.
Probably there's an app for that.
There's always an app for that. I mean, there the old rules of the internet. I think it was Rule 46. If it exists, there's porn of it. I guess now you can say that with apps.
And do you categorize those bookmarks, or it's just one big poll?
Yeah, that's the thing. No, it gets to a
Okay.
point where you just bookmark it, right?
That's a term I've not heard in a while. Bookmarks.
Really?
How to nobody
You don't use
bookmark.
it at all? You don't use it
I
at all?
use it.
bookmark.
I use it.
don't use it.
I used to use it
So-
in Instagram.
I have a
yeah.
system though.
Yeah, please do explain.
I just dump it into my Slack DM to my own self.
Then you have
Isn't
the
it
same effect.
thing?
No, but it's not a bookmark. I'm not going to categorize it, but you know the reason for why? Because it opens up a preview every time you Slack it.
Uh-huh.
You know how, like in a bookmark, when you go to your Chrome browser, just an example, you will see the text that you put in there. Maybe a very small logo. Whereas with Slack, it just gives you a preview of what the content is, like Reddit,
Yeah.
right? Or a YouTube
Yeah.
video. So for me, it's helpful because I'm visual. I'm very bad at kind of like just reading text. I wouldn't know what it is. So that's how I operate.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, wouldn't that be the same dumpster of bookmarks or
accumulation.
whatever?
Of course it
Yeah,
is. I didn't say I
accumulation.
perfected it. I said that's my system.
That's
Okay.
what it-
But I'm not
What
going to
is-
maintain another app. It's kind of like having an app to manage your subscriptions while you have to pay for the subscription of that app. Like,
Yeah.
You gotta create an AI bot, man. No more apps anymore. It's an AI bot now, an agent, by the way.
You know, one
No,
cool
it's
thing
not an
I think
app.
I've realized. I don't know if you saw the SpaceX IPO. I was
Of
reading
course
through
not.
Well, that's because you're not into investing.
Of course we missed it.
But one of the cool things in that is that AI is kind of like has lost its charm, its bubble, so to speak, because the SpaceX quite a lot. Like I think 80% model is AI, even though they're a rocket company for the most part, and they just acquired Cursor AI. I just do not know at this point. We just don't know where this is going, where all of this is going with AI, and it seems to have died down a little bit. The charm has worn off, so to speak. You know what I mean? We can all detect it. People don't like it anymore. All of that nonsense AI stuff that people are generating. I think it's moving in the right direction. I don't know.
I
Too-
completely
too
disagree,
soon,
my
maybe?
friend. I think
Yeah.
Really?
I think the narrative of running away from the bubble idea, I've read that around as well. I guess because all the markets were retracting and everybody was like, oh, I guess they're preparing for SpaceX IPO, but it was kind of crazy because it was gold, Bitcoin, S&P 500, everything was retracting. I mean, we know that a lot of pre-IPO holders cannot sell their shares, so
Do you know the details of this? How crazy it is that the Nasdaq had to append their rules in order to add SpaceX to the Nasdaq 100. And interestingly enough, by default, now all the pensioners and all the funds will have to buy SpaceX because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
But it's kind of crazy because like even the threshold for day traders got lower.
Yeah, the
So-
float is 5%. The actual float of SpaceX is just 5%. That is just
Yes.
out there for public, which is crazy.
Yes,
It is
yes,
crazy.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Actually, I think it's even less, like slightly less than 5%.
I believe you. I mean, if you cut out all the institutions and everything about Elon has his iron grip on SpaceX. There is no way your vote, my vote, if we hold stock in the company, can
I think
influence.
he has like
anything.
49% or something.
No.
Or
He has
80 something.
80%.
Sorry, yes. No. Number of shares is 49 and voting power is 80.
It's fun because there's a Class A share and Class B shares.
Yeah,
Class
yeah.
A is your ordinary, and B is the one that one gives you 2 votes. He has full majority control. It's amazing what he's able to accomplish, and I think the company it went from it's the 3rd largest company in the world in terms of market cap. It
Well, but
exceeded
listen,
Microsoft.
it just matched. So if you count all the satellite launches not done by SpaceX from all time, they just matched it in like 4 years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
The amount of garbage in the space
Oh
right
man,
now.
it's nothing.
They're supposed to go to
That's
million,
nothing, right,
million
true.
It's
satellites.
just nothing. I mean,
True.
space is quite big. Trust
Yeah,
me.
it
It's
is.
just
Yeah.
nothing. I mean, there's this. What's the movie?
Wally?
Gravity with
Gravity.
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock, I think, something like that. And
That's another name I haven't heard in a while. Sandra Bullock.
yeah, there you go, man. I'm old. I'm almost 50, as you said. And they saw that, so they're in space and they see another satellite, and it's like it's not gonna happen, man. It's so far, like you just can't. You just can't.
They want to get to, I think, 1 million satellites or something like that by 2040 or something like this. It's like orbiting the Earth. It's a police state at this point. I mean, literally, go ahead.
We know that Elon is gonna miss his targets like usual, but I mean,
That's okay.
even if he gets close to it, I mean, this evaluation might not be that crazy, and that's the craziest part.
I mean, I don't believe the 24.5 trillion TAM. I think that's just like, that's like, I've been to enough board meetings to know what financial engineering and what selling a pie in the sky looks like. I think we've perfected it at this point. But I mean, it's a great mission. Reusable rockets. I think like the cost of a rocket, SpaceX reduced it by 92%. Like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yes, but it's leveraging not just that, but the data centers as well.
Yeah, that
these
part I
groups
don't know about, man. Data center on Mars. I maybe my
No,
my,
not Mars, but on space in Moon. But like,
Oh yeah, sorry. So just on Moon, right? Got it.
yeah, it's closer, right? you don't need to wait. I think I don't want to say anything wrong, but I think maybe you have to wait a few months for you to be able to launch something to Mars, whereas for the Moon you can just do it. So because of the orbits of the planets, you have to make sure they are the closest for you to launch. But the data centers, I mean, Cursor got to a point where they wanted to perfect the model, and to do that they need the computing power, which they didn't have, right? And so it's a perfect match there, and
Do you know how
because
old Cursor
SpaceX-
is?
sorry,
Do you know how old the company is, Cursor?
I mean, what, 11?
No. It was
Less?
founded after 2020.
Right now, you serious? Well,
I'm not
there you
joking
go.
with you. By 4 MIT
Okay.
students. Can
Yeah,
you
I know
understand
that.
the
Yeah.
life cycle of how absurdly fast these things are happening? Like, and it
That
was
is true.
like
But
I
I
think
wanted
they're
to
relying
say
on
something-
Anthropic though.
You were saying that AI lost his charm, but I'll give you this example. Just yesterday, I was speaking with this venue manager for weddings and special events and all those things. And
Why?
Yes, do tell us why you were speaking to a wedding specialist and an event organizer, Gustavo.
Well, if you really want to know, I have a 6-year-old in school, and it was one other child's father that we were randomly talking on the school's party. So,
But what piqued your interest? I'm curious about that. Is there news you would like to break here?
no, but what I was saying is the guy is developing his own platform, and
Oh, dude.
he's
I can't.
yes, no, listen, he's a dentist who never practiced
God.
dentistry.
Hey, I know another dentist who didn't practice dentistry.
Oh, really? Who?
You don't know the reference?
No.
Come on, dude.
I'm sorry.
The Django Unchained.
Ah, there
Dr.
you go.
Sh-
Oh, there you go. Nice. Jesus. That was fast. Nice.
You want AI? AI's right here.
Jesus.
But
What a reference.
but he got to a point where it's now fully running. He has apps for his floor manager, for like kitchen manager, everything. Like it's very centralized.
Yeah.
I was watching it, and now he's complaining about the token expenditure, and now we're discussing local models for his thing, and it was amazing because 3 years ago maybe he would never like even entertain that idea, of why not do this? Because he would think, I need to hire people to do this, spend a lot of money, spend a lot of time, a lot of testing, and right now it's just like he said that he spent around 7 months between designing, testing, and seeing what he really needs, and it's just an example of
Yeah, I don't know, man.
adoption,
know.
Yeah.
man.
Sure is
all
adoption,
about
but it
adoption.
kind of like reminds me of the time when people, needed help to build websites, and then tools came along, Wix, Squarespace, and so on and so forth. People could build a website.
No, they
Could
still
you?
needed help.
You know what I mean?
But
Could you build it? Sure,
They
but
still need help nowadays, man. I don't know.
yeah, that's what
It's
I'm saying.
more
Is that
maintenance. So if
It's
you
not only
consider,
maintenance,
no, it's
guys.
a
It's a matter
evolution,
of
dude.
like you're building your business. Most of these people, they are building their business, and the core of their application is somewhere with Anthropic or OpenAI, and so they don't have anything native. Like so, they have to be they must be hooked to these companies, and they think that they are developing something, they are creating something. Okay, they are, but it's not something that is yours. I associate this, like you're saying no, but I associate this with having like Bitcoin on an exchange, for example. If it's not your wallet, if it's not your keys, it's not your Bitcoin. So
that's
this,
exactly what I was saying. So while you can use those tools to create your own tool, you might have the end product that doesn't need more tokens or anything, can just fully run. But still, you can build your own at home by a very cheap price, but for the vast majority of people, it's more than enough, because that's what we're gonna see, like in the short term. Because right now you have access to like the most advanced model that everybody has access to publicly is way more than enough for the vast majority of users. So it will get to a point. Probably, it will be the cheapest. Today is the cheapest in relation to the model's capacity. It's the cheapest access you can have. More likely in the future, what will happen is you will have cheaper access, but to a lower end model. You won't have access to the best ones, because you don't need that. It's kind of like having an overkill processor with loads of RAM that you don't use. That's what happened for most people.
have you tried Chrome?
There you go. And then we're getting to a point where, I mean, people are still using the models to ask questions for them to search, for the computing power. So you can spend with these new products that are coming out for AMD, Nvidia. You can just spend $600. You have it at home. You connect it to Telegram or whatever, some free app, and you can control it on a distance, and have it process your workflows and your whatever stuff you have
I don't know,
rolling.
man.
well, and I don't know. I think that you're painting a picture where everything works flawlessly, and I don't think that we are there yet. I don't know if we're going to ever be there yet, because like if I want to create, and picking up in the example that you share, if I want to create my own application to run my business and had different teams interacting with it, like that is not a one man's job just because I can use AI to do so. If I have zero knowledge of some sort of computer science or development or whatever, like if I'm an average
You should
person.
try. You should try.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the
I
thing.
did
You
it. I
should try.
tried it. I
I mean, you
actually I
can't
created an
delete an
agent
app
for
from your
Telegram.
phone. You're not a good example.
Right, right.
You're not a
Like,
good example.
I
But
think
here's
that
Saeed.
everyone is
Saeed
selling
can
the
tell you
dream.
from his own experience with the Get Zarta project. I mean, you really can try by yourself
Oh, yeah.
and see how lower are the bottlenecks, and from your not knowing coding
get
or
there.
whatever, you can get there. So
Yeah, well,
it's just a matter of how excited you are about things. And
I believe, like, there's a thing
no,
though.
I don't know.
I genuinely have faith in humanity. I think we as a species are fucking lazy. And no matter what software, what tool you put in front of us.
As long as someone is making money, we're good. As long as someone is making bucks, we're good.
No, but at the end of the day, I think like the idea is that these service providers, everything they're doing, their model is, like you said, tokens, right? So they're going to have to figure out a way to monetize this on a continuous basis. That's where subscriptions came out from. Like back in the day, we could buy a CD. I know we're old enough to know that. Software is yours. You can manipulate it, but it is yours to do what you will. But now it's subscription. You pay monthly, and then, you know, cars come with subscriptions now, dude. Like you got heated seats, you got to pay for that. You want extra maps, you got to pay for that.
Wasn't that role? Didn't they reverse that?
No, yeah, they did, but there is still so like for instance, BMW has a connected store. It's like a Play Store or whatever. Mm-hmm. There are services that you can buy that are just on a monthly subscription. Like for instance, just literally having for like being able to display maps, or you know how your camera is recording collisions and everything. You got to pay a subscription for that because it's storing everything in the cloud, and so on and so forth. It's just a form of going there. Like interesting thing about John Deere, for instance. John Deere, you can buy the tractors and the lawnmowers, but everything else is proprietary. You cannot it's software locked. Everything.
You
is
should
just
make a
software
disclaimer. Or what that is. We're talking about the Lamborghinis of tractors. They actually have Lamborghini has
Well,
tractors too, but it's
and say you haven't watched Clarkson's Farm yet, and I don't know how that is possible.
Yeah, I have not
'Cause
watched it,
that's
but I will.
a
I
great
will.
TV show.
You know, if you didn't know it, I was busy creating an
Since
YouTube
you're
empire.
since you're starting to get into farming, because that's how things start. You start with mowing your grass, and then all of a sudden you're just farming.
That's
it.
I mean, I think this is a good way to exit out. Like, I think from all this, and I was going out to this whole AI thing. You were interestingly enough, you were talking about Instagram. I think part of what I understand is that you were just exhausted from this doom scrolling, these notifications and everything. And I just don't understand how the human brain has the capacity of being able to process all this stuff, advertisements, everything, all this news and shit that is thrown at us and still function normally. I just think it's insane the amount of consumptions we do as a people. And how these apps, there has to be some sort of an adverse effect. And people are going back to full circle.
There is, man. There is. And I think that you can see the adverse effect on, especially on well, not kids exactly, but teenagers. Like
Teenagers
the way
don't
that
drink. You know,
Right.
like folks are not drinking anymore. They're not making.
even adults
that's why they
nowadays.
don't
I
have
think
kids. The social lubricant is missing.
social lubricant. God damn. This sounds perverse and fun at the same time.
Yeah,
right.
but it's.
But
I
you
don't
can see
know.
those effects, man. You can see, like, for example, I think it's getting harder to get attention focus from younger people, like being focused on something for a decent / long
notice it
period
too.
of time. So because you're used to jump from one topic to the other, you're used to jump from one video to the other, content, whatever, and therefore, like it's basically you're getting lazy at following also a think process. So you get like jumpy,
Yeah.
right? You can see people like having a conversation with you. They go and like they are following a route, and then there's a way for them to turn there. They go there, and it's harder to get to the same route for some people. I don't know, but I think that these technologies are influencing that as well. That's why, like,
Yeah.
reading a book is good for you because it helps you have a clear thinking process, right? And so Instagram or whatever content creation, or well, not creation, consuming, it's doing the opposite, I think.
Do you need Instagram? You don't need Instagram.
No, but you start feeling something very like you have to create channels to get access to information, alternative channels. What I mean is that, for
Why
example,
not New York Times, for instance?
yeah, well, it could be one. Yes, it could be one. And watching the news or watching, like, people use X a lot for that to get their news, right, Gus?
Well, there's a certain
and
subset
then
of
they
people
bookmark.
that get their news from X.
But yeah, you have to find
I'll
those
argue
channels.
this: there's no better place to get what's going on right now. It's not
Yeah.
about if it's
You
good
mean
or bad
Polymarket?
content. Sorry.
You mean Polymarket?
For example.
Elon will retweet that, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you ask him to retweet?
How do you say now? It's not retweet, right?
You exit.
What do you re-exit? No, that sounds
No,
bad.
No, you
that
re-exit.
sounds bad.
What do you mean sounds bad? That's the name of the
don't know.
platform.
No, re-exit.
They-
Yeah, that's
they
because
just,
you have been synthesized by tweeting. Like that's it. You just remember that.
Yeah.
That's-
Well, I never had Twitter. I only had X.
Oh, sorry. You really got into it when your daddy Elon jumped over.
Yeah, indeed.
I gave that one to you for free. No, it was. I guess it was a replacement. I didn't want to join Instagram, but I needed the kick as well. So
You have Facebook, right? Sorry.
Yeah. He's always doom scrolling. He also doom scrolls a lot. He doesn't admit it though, but I'm sure. I'm absolutely
I mean,
sure.
his cool points will go away if he admitted it. I'm the only one without social media. I use it for business
when
purposes.
I'm doing number 2, that's where it makes sense.
This X has some sort of doom scroll. What I mean by doom scroll is not just scrolling through your feed. It's like those short, not like usually it's videos that get you hooked.
Yeah, it
Do
does.
they
It's
have
the
that?
same. It's the same.
They're all the
But
same,
now-
just different
so-
subset of people.
So I would say I'm suffering the same thing. The only difference is that now it seems to me that, or at least what I'm consuming, is between X and what's it called? The it's not Substack. It's
Reddit?
The,
Right?
no,
Quora?
Jesus Christ.
Fuck uses Quora.
I mean, it was a thing back in the day.
Who the fuck uses Quora, man?
I don't know, considering
Is
Grandpa,
Quora still
Grandpa
alive?
Simpson over here.
Yeah,
uses Meta.
Grandpa Simpson navigates on his Opera. He goes on Opera and opens Quora. On Opera browser, opening
God.
Quora.
Substack. I've never really understood Substack. I've never paid much attention to it. But I'm assuming it's some
Well,
sort of like
the-
Patreon type thing.
Didn't you live through the blog area?
I'm not a blogger.
Yeah, but
sorry.
it's called Medium. It's kind of like a long
Nobody
form.
uses Medium.
No,
Is
Nobody
it-
uses Medium.
Is that to check on your
No, it's just a long form posting or blogging or whatever.
I
So
think
what happens?
You're misspelling Truth Social.
Truth Social?
I have yet to go there. No,
Yeah.
but it's
I was
it's just
going to
that
ask
you
you
find interesting stuff, and then because X I think also pays you, so people start creating,
They all pay you.
yeah. So this people start creating you. I'm not sure, but I guess like if you get bookmarked or retweeted or whatever, all of that counts. So what people do, they create like Substacks or Mediums or whatever, so long form posting, and they can also monetize that part, obviously. And what they do is they give you a width, and if you like, you pay the subscription or get the newsletter or whatever. But that's where I'm spending most of my time, and that's where I spend most of my bookmarks as well. Because at the end of the day, sometimes it's a 12-minute read or 15-minute read, but anyway, it's a lot of interesting stuff out there, and I get a kick from getting that from X. I don't get that from Facebook, for example.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And by the way, I created Facebook back in the day where people were arranging birthday dinners and stuff like that on Facebook.
You're one of the OGs. Got it.
No, I'm not. I actually joined pretty late, like maybe 2010 or something. And I guess in Portugal it exploded like 2 years before.
How old are you? I've never been on social media. I'm not. I'm okay.
Why you keep saying that when
why
it's,
you
when
lie?
it's
Why
not
you
true?
lie?
Okay,
but I don't
Instagram
know
for my
what
thing
the
is
hell.
not me. You know what?
The
I will
magic
do.
fetus of Reddit.
Yeah. Like you use Reddit, you use Instagram.
But
like
it's not a social
I'm
media
sure you
platform.
have
It has
an X
anonymity.
account.
It's not an anonymity. I don't have. Maybe probably I do.
Oh no!
But I've
Yeah.
never used
Wait,
it.
Rui. I think Saeed is part of like 4chan's forums. You know,
Right.
he's over
Probably.
there. What's the name of those the QAnon stuff?
Oh my god. No, I'm a content creator, man. I'm not a content consumer.
That doesn't
that's not
exist.
true.
I don't
That's
think that
not
that
true.
What does that
it's
mean?
not true. Like, yeah. Well, you gotta
You're now a
watch
LinkedIn
content to know
social
what you're doing.
influencer.
Yes.
I'm
well,
not an influence. I don't think I will ever influence anybody's life. A, I don't want the responsibility. B, I don't think I'm a model people should be going
well,
after.
your haircut says the opposite. Say sorry.
Yeah, well, for sure
You're
it's not
looking
because of
way
you that
too
will
good to
start
not
using
be an
Botox.
influencer.
I did start solo recording videos since yesterday, and I'm getting good reception from it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna go down that route.
Where's that? In OnlyFans?
Wait, so you said solo recording videos?
Solo, meaning like me
Solo
on the
recording
camera,
videos,
and then just go from it. I want to change people's lives, man, for the better.
But do you cry?
Only after I beat myself.
Because if not, man, what the hell are you doing? Okay, and what type of topics do you approach?
I want to help people get jobs. I want to help people. I want to help.
Okay.
I want to help people understand that it's good to have some optionality. You know, you and I, we all know it very well what it feels like to be at the top of the mountain. But your mountain can be different than mine. But you know, you're earning
Right.
good money. You get into your car. You get your. You know, it's Friday. The workload is low. Sun is out. You have a little oomph in your step. You know what I mean? We've seen it. We've done it. But the problem is that somebody else holds the reins to your oomph, so to speak. So what do you do? What can you do? What you can do is have optionality, and I don't know what that is. For you, it could be a YouTube channel. For you, it could be an X thing. For somebody else, it could be blogging, Substack, or whatever the hell that may be. All
Some
I want to
project
do
that is yours,
something,
right?
something It
that
could
is
be
yours.
something
Yeah.
like I just have optionality, because I think I learned that from Gustavo the hard way. Is that it's good until it's not, and it's not going to
Right.
be good. I mean, it's just a fact of life. I don't know if it's in a health form, financial form, professional form, world crises, wars, this and that. You gotta have
Yeah.
optionality, because if you don't, and then hard times come to pass, and they will, man. I think this is a good analogy for poker at the end of the day, and I guess any physical sports, and Gustavo could tell you, you cannot
About
outmaneuver.
physical sports? No, you cannot tell me anything about physical sports.
It is harder to maneuver out of a bad position. Do you know what I mean? Like from a space of desperation type thing. It is very difficult because you have so many different things that are going through your head, and that's
Yeah.
it. That's literally it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because it's in jiu-jitsu you usually say you can't run away from a perfectly set up submission, so you better avoid it.
That's smart.
But you learn how to struggle. But I want to say something because you mentioned all about this tech stuff, and why not opening a shack in a festival and sell burgers for an overprice? You know, like it's
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
I think it's funny because we're full circle here. Yeah, you were mentioning that kids don't drink alcohol today, and we're all about doom scrolling and
Well, some of us
internet. Well, the vast majority, like you just
Fair enough.
look, younger generations do it. It's just like they connect on what's that game they kids
Minecraft?
play. No,
Roblox.
Roblox, exactly.
It's scary you know that, by the way.
Because
Why?
all the parents, like, if you speak with other parents, when
I
you go
don't
to
have
your
my kids don't
goes-
play Roblox.
I mean,
Yeah,
you don't. I mean, you said that you
My
don't want to
nephew
influence
plays
anyone,
Roblox.
so you don't want to influence your kids. But what I mean is, I see other parents concerned about Roblox chats and how to block it because there's a lot of predators there, like a lot of
Jesus.
crazy stuff. Um, And again, I'm old enough to remember the Wild West internet was back in the day,
Oh
back
my
in the
god, yeah.
day. But we all knew it was a Wild West, so you should behave like such. And I guess now there's this, you know, fake sense of security because now people don't think about the internet as the Wild West, but it still is. And I think that we're full circle when it comes to physical events, social events,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and because they are booming everywhere. I mean, it's true that nightclubs died, but special events or music events are exploding. So there's a need for that, and I guess just because of the mentality of being all tech oriented, especially us, like you were talking about jobs and all that. I mean, there's a lot of a room to explore, and I think people should connect back to that because I have this question, which is how much you think, percentage wise, unemployment needs to reach so we get a full blown crisis everywhere.
10%.
There you go. It's quite small, right? It's not really like so we're playing with fire. We're very close to it. And it's just I think the shift has to be the mindset shift and not so much about which tech to use, how to use, and whatnot. I think the
Yeah.
approach to things has to change, and I guess older generations have an advantage, not just because they have most of the assets and all those things, and
They're not letting it go either. That's the problem, man. They're not letting go of those assets.
hey, you're one of them too. I mean, you have a house, you're buying land, like it's the same thing. So it's just that you're not letting it go, but also the way you perceive the world is different because you were not born inside the matrix, inside the internet. You were born outside of it. You saw it come. You adopted it. So you have it changes your perspective of things. For someone, say, to a 20-year-old that was born inside of it, and when he gets to school, they had to drop their phone at the entrance, and they do not write papers to the colleague next to them like we used to do. I mean, the playground is way different. I cannot even imagine what they do nowadays because they are, if they have access to their cell phones, I can imagine that the if you go to a school, they're all with their faces in the screen. And I mean, when you talk about 6 hours daily average of consumption for a teenager, for the average teenager, that's just crazy. I mean, it's crazy because like in a few years they'll be the next politicians, so it's a real problem.
Have you guys seen the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
You mentioned it quite some time.
Yeah.
It's not the first time you mentioned that. What's the name of it?
It's Cloudy. It's Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and I think that's the name. It's a children. It's an animation movie.
No, I've never seen this one.
My kids love it, and essentially the idea and the premise is that there's a kid. He's geeky, and he loves to build different things, machines, and he ends up building a machine that goes up in the cloud, and you give it a prompt, and it will, from rain, it will deliver you. It will just drop. It will rain food. So if you want meatballs, it will give you meatballs. If it's pizza, everywhere pizza's flying and so on and so forth. And the premise was that when the machine got invented, everybody was so happy. Great, we only ate sardines in this town. That was our specialty. Now we can eat pizza and hamburgers and cakes and so on and so forth. And everybody wanted something. And they would have just one more prompt, just one more day. And the guy's like, no, the machine is about to break. It's at 80% capacity, 90% capacity, 99. No, but just one more prompt. And it's ironic because all of these movies have such a deep underlining message is that you talked about politicians. These kids are going to become politicians. Yeah, but look what they're absorbing. Look at the anxiety level of the people right now because of jobs, AI, inflation, wars. People can't even find jobs. I know people that are struggling to buy homes or can't even afford an apartment in a lot of ways. Cars, they don't have the same economic mobility you and I have because we grew up in a separate era for the most part. All that you're feeding into a brain of somebody, at some point the system is going to snap. Like Ree says, the market has to crash. I mean, it is just becoming like, it's funny we talk about SpaceX. The PE ratios, what we understood about investing, there is no logic in there at all. Like by all standards and measures, if you look at it logistically and like objectively, you should not be investing. You're going to be a bag holder for this. But this is where it's coming. I am not a doom and gloom person. I like looking at opportunities. I just feel like that this experiment that we're running is going to crash in a very bad way, and the effects of it are not going to be that easy to fix. Environmental, psychological, and sure as hell financial.
I changed my mind, by the way.
What's up?
I think that the event that you're most expecting is the unlikeliest to happen. Because everyone is expecting that. Therefore, it's more unlikely that it will happen. Same with housing. And well, anything right now that is like basically crushing, everyone is expecting to crash, and therefore, I don't think it's going to happen because of that.
You may be right.
Well,
we will see.
Who predicted the I don't know, '08 crisis?
Michael
Like
Burry.
five people. Whatever, like 2 people,
There's
3
more
people.
than 5 people,
Like,
but
whatever.
yes, I know
but
what
you
you
know,
mean.
like a very small group of people. When millions of people were involved in that environment.
There is one thing I would argue against it, though. 2007 and 2026 are vastly different playgrounds because of information.
Sure,
I can tell you more about the S&P 500 within 2 minutes by looking at an application versus a kid could do back in the day.
Said you can, but the thing is that the people that are there working, like they work in Wall Street, they know a lot of what's going on. They know things that we cannot read anywhere, whatever. They were also there in previous crisis. So they also had the information. And if the average Joe is predicting a crash, I don't think that it's something that they would not already know that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just too predictable at this point. It's like, yeah, it's going to crash. Yeah, it's going to crash. I mean,
I don't know if it's
but
going to
that's the
crash,
same.
but there's a reset. I mean, look, it's not, the math is not mathing anymore at this point. With the way the world is operating, the way
there's a
we're
new
printing-
math. I think there's new math.
Maybe you're
That's
right.
the thing.
Maybe you're
I
right.
think there's new math in the equation. But I don't know, man. It's just an opinion of a person.
I think what
okay?
Gustavo said is right. Like 10%, right? We are close. We're not, I mean, that far off. People are struggling. Let me give you an example. A cost, you buy milk, a liter of milk or a gallon of milk. There's only a certain dollar value that people are willing to pay for that. At some point, people are going to snap. So math may or may not work. But you know what a black swan event is? I'm sure you played poker, like you know
A black swan, what?
a black swan event.
Oh no,
A
I
black
don't.
swan. So
I
black
think
swan
you
event
mentioned that, but you mentioned a lot of different things, so it's really hard to keep track.
So black swan is the one thing that you don't foresee coming,
Right.
and it comes out of nowhere, like left field.
Okay.
2008 crisis was in the making. There were signs, maybe not as prevalent as.
Yeah,
as,
now
as
that
they
you
were.
watched Big Short, there were signs, but no one was catching those.
Thank you for that.
That's what I mean.
No,
That's what I mean, man. Like
No,
people,
no.
people think that they are catching because we have information, we know what's going on, and the Strait of Hormuz, it's like it's open, then it's closed, then it's open, then it's closed, and it's
It
going
is
to be
not
bombed.
open.
And the market keeps going up, and
Because
people
the
go,
market is
"This not
illogical."
possible." Yeah, there you go.
Market will
There
stay
you go.
irrational more longer than
Highest
you can stay
IPO
solid
in
with that thing,
history,
right?
in the middle of a whatever Cold War. No, well, not that cold anymore, but like maybe there's a new math. I don't know, but yeah, it's weird. But I
Maybe,
don't
man.
think that the most likely event we think it's most likely, and by we I mean like the average person. Well, I would say a little higher than the average person. Well, let's face it. But I don't think that it's what's going to happen, because like the game is being played outside of what we can see.
Rui, there is a saying, we say, you're talking about there's a new math. Maybe, I feel like a boomer looking at like kids can have a business on
Right.
internet. God damn, like how can you earn millions of dollars? Maybe that's the case. But there's a saying in English, history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure as shit rhymes.
Okay, that's a funny one. Yeah.
So the history is not there to tell you what actually happened back in the days. I mean, it serves a purpose, sure. It's there to serve as a lesson for you to not make those same mistakes again. But we as a species are always going to make mistakes because every generation needs to make it its own certain level of mistakes to learn. That's just how we are. That's how we are programmed as people.
100%.
Because otherwise people wouldn't be starting wars, because we know what happens with war. $2 trillion, economy goes into the gutter, people still, fighting wars. I mean, by no measure it's a good thing other than for, I don't know, those industries that benefit from that and so on and so forth. So maybe the math's not mathing.
But the problem with history is that someone wrote it.
Yeah, but the victors, to the victors go the spoils. Victors write the history.
Yeah, someone wrote it. So, as I always like to reference that the pyramids are further to Cleopatra than she's from us. So, yeah. So there's a lot we don't know about the ice ages and all that, and even humans.
Okay, but we do know one thing though. We can all agree on that. I mean, I know we're
Portugal was a superpower. Oh, sorry, you're not gonna.
No. You're good. I mean, like I know we're very partisan at this point. Like everybody's just like going to their corner, but we do know that if you hit your hand with metal hard enough, it's going to cause damage. We can all agree to that. We all can agree to the fact that if you eat fatty food and junk food, you're gonna get obese, most likely. If you don't exercise, you're gonna die earlier. If you smoke cigarettes every day for 20 years, chances of lung cancer are a lot higher than a guy or a gal who doesn't do that. What I'm saying is that fundamentals don't change. And history, sure, Victor writes it, and you're saying math is not mathing, absolutely right. But we all know, and we can agree to that, considering we have two engineers here, that if you print enough money and you're just printing it out, it is going to cause problems. It is not sustainable. It is not sustainable.
That's why you go to the Strait of Hormuz and almost annex Cuba and Venezuela.
Yeah, you keep the machine running.
That's why you do to keep the machine running.
You see, it's
No, man,
new math.
I'm genuinely
New world
scared for the
order.
new. I'm genuinely scared for the future. I'm genuinely scared for the fact that there are grifters out there on the internet that are charming, that say some most bland generic stuff, and our kids will follow it. I see there's like influencers. My son, he was talking about Mr. Beast or whatever, and for the
Beast
life of
Games, it's interesting. By the way, I don't know if you ever watched that.
I don't know what that is.
show.
Dude.
But it's interesting. It's interesting because it's a social experiment. Okay, it's not like that
Like
junky
Squid Game?
content. Yeah, kind of, but of course, no one gets shot. But it's interesting because the way that money affects people's judgment, okay, in that part, and even they are considering themselves friends and whatnot. It's interesting. So just a suggestion. But go ahead.
So
Sorry,
basically, we have a baron setting up people in a coliseum, throwing money as a reward, and watching them go crazy. This is
There
a
you
concept
go.
as old as time, buddy.
I know, but like nowadays, and picking up at the point that you said before, like we have all of this information, we are more aware of what's going on, but still, yeah, the fundamentals are still there. Like people would still kill each other for money, or hurt each other, or betray each other for money. And well, that's one of the things that apparently it's happening, and this guy is kind of showing in a entertaining way. Whatever.
Entertaining way. Got it.
Well, it is what it is, man. It's like it's a game. If it's like a reality show, whatever. Like it's entertainment.
You ask me why I like to be on my land away from everything. I think this is the very
Yeah, you can.
very reason.
It's fine to be a hermit, but like
Hermit speaks the guy who lives in a
hermit.
village of 42 people.
you
Yeah,
are the
there
one who
you
wants
go.
to be a hermit. I would be happy to.
I live in
to
a
be one
capital
if I
city
had internet.
of a very growing metropolis.
Yeah, like you live way further than a city than me, but yeah, well, I honestly don't think that the most expected event it's going to be the one that is going
Black
to happen.
Swan. I want you to research this when you have finished today, and don't search it on
But-
Instagram, please.
But Black
You think
Black
you
Swan.
think the first Trump's election was a Black Swan event?
The first one.
I don't think it was a Black Swan event, and I'll tell you why. I think it was expected. And I'll tell you why. That was the first time in a long time the people, by people I mean the average Joe, like we referred to them, the average Joe was able to disrupt the cycle. You know, you had the Clintons and the Bushes and the Clinton was going to be elected again, and folks just broke through that chain because people are tired. People are tired. You know why? I was reading through this conservative Reddit thread. They didn't do it because they agree a lot of what Trump has to say, his policies. There's not a lot of policy in his. It's just him is like owning the libs type thing. They just wanted to do it to make their voices heard because they're sick and tired of all the stuff that comes out from the left side. That's it. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to be heard. And that's what they were able to do. And what they didn't realize, for better or for worse, whether or not they shot themselves in the foot, I let them up. You know, that's my countrymen to decide, not me. That's not my place. Sorry, my countrywomen. Yeah, it wasn't Black Swan.
Pakistani taking
that was the point.
Jesus Christ. Dude is born in Islamabad and he's talking about my country when we talk about America.
Listen, I'm the citizen of planet Earth, all right? I'm a serious traveler.
Speaking of which,
Indeed.
have you seen the recent attack in Northern Ireland
Yes, I
where Jesus Christ, man?
Yeah, do you know the story behind it?
No, I only watched the video and I was like,
I know you
disgusted
get your
by it.
news from Facebook right-wing media groups, but the true story behind it is it's a lot of issues boiled up together that came out in this incident.
Wait,
Unfortunately,
are you trying to tell me there's a good reason why the guy wanted to decapitate the other one?
well, absolutely not. I think what he did was
okay,
horrific. I
thank
think
you.
you should have people like that are a danger to themselves and the society, like 100%. There is no doubt about it. But I also believe it opens up a bigger discussion because there's a lot of problems with housing, like municipality housing. Like you get like cheap rent controlled apartments, and a lot of them go over to folks that are refugees, not the population. How do you say? Not the folks that are native to the land. Would that be the right way to say? The ones that were born there, and they're going, and then the folks that are coming on these dinghy boats, they're being put up in 5-star hotels, and they can stay there for months at end, and people are like, what the hell? And coming back to your point, because unemployment is high, people are scared of AI, inflation costs are rising, energy costs are rising, tensions are high, and when an event like this happens, horrible by every stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's just, I couldn't imagine something like that on the streets literally where I grew up, right? It's something like this happening. It is insane. It brings back the conversation of, are these people, by these people, I don't want to be an asshole, by folks that are coming out from outside of a different
Your
culture.
other cousins.
The cousins from the south. Are they able to assimilate here? And we are struggling as a continent, bro. We genuinely are, and I know this conversation happens in Portugal. It certainly happens in Poland quite a lot. And it's not going to get better if these, costs and then in unemployment and these layoffs and these data centers and all that shit just continues to get hammered. We're not in a good spot.
It's the perfect mix for these extreme regimes to surge. You know?
Do you mean right wing? That's how populism. Well, you know what populism is?
Why you keep beating on the right wing? I mean, the last as far as I know, Poland was the playground for the Soviet Union and
We were not
Hitler.
part of the Soviet Union.
I know, but
We were not
Hitler-
part of the Nazi Germany either, by the way. We are an independent people, and we have fought for our rights for a long period of time. And we are one of the fastest growing countries in the European Union,
That is
with the
true, that is true.
second largest standing army at this particular moment in time.
No.
So Poland's not to be messed with, bro. What are you talking about? We are a
Amazing.
shining beacon on the hill that you should all look up to.
No.
Would
I'm
you
not moving
accept
to
me
Poland.
there?
No
You
matter
think I
how
could
much
make
you
it?
shine.
Have you seen that? I think it's a Simpsons meme or like the Family Guy meme where he goes to the border and he pulls out a color card, and based on the color, accept, not accept. Have you seen that?
No.
So in Family Guy, he goes to the border, right, to the United States. He's trying to enter the country, and the border patrol officer, the CBP officer, pulls out a like a color palette. You know how you're painting your houses? There's a color palette. It goes from dark, like black, all the way to white. It's very incendiary. But if
Yeah,
it's
of
within
course.
those shades of brown,
Of
not
course.
accepted.
Yeah.
Not accepted. So to answer your question, Ray, are you allowed? Well, let me guess.
Well, I should go in the winter. I should go in the winter.
I don't think
Definitely.
in winter with the Peter stash will allow you anyway.
I
mean,
can
you're making-
shave, no problem. I can shave.
You're
I
making
can
fun, but you can YouTube that guy. He was an Indian guy who make himself look black and applied to a medical school, and he got in this ethnicity quota by being black when he was not black. And there's the I think it was CNN or so that interviewed him, and it's amazing how he just exploited the whole system, and he let the system assume his ethnicity.
You mean
So,
Fox News, right? Not CNN.
I have no idea. It was
Oh
on
yes,
YouTube, man.
yes. Of course, you have no idea. Got it. Yeah, that. But hey, I mean, if you can use something to your advantage, use it. I mean, that's all there is.
I mean, I don't know, man. Why you keep going there? I'm just not with the people that believe that man should be in the women's bathroom. You know. So I'm on that group. You know, like I'm pretty sure I'm in the future when they talk about us this time. And they're like, oh, they were pretty nuts back in the day. I'm not in the nutty group. Trust me.
Why do you think that became? Go ahead.
No, going for the joke. Like, remember when we were in school and it was like physical education or whatever, and like I would say like once a year the guys would go crazy and they would go into the girls' locker room, like, but of course they would not be there. It was
No,
just
we were not
just
you.
to see. Whatever, you didn't have a
That's
childhood,
village
a
stuff,
childhood.
I think.
I
That's
went
fine.
to a Catholic school. We didn't have
So
girls.
we would
Same
we
here.
would go there like at least once a year. The girls were not there, but we would just check the locker room because it's like we never saw the locker room of the girls' locker room, basically. So we
Okay.
didn't know how
Epstein
it was.
over here is confessing, but like, no, we didn't have.
Oh,
that.
sure. Yeah. My question would be like, do you think like nowadays is the same or it's about to change? Because like it was almost like forbidden ground. So of course,
Man, some things
for
are
all of us.
just they shouldn't be touched. And you know, like if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I'm not
All
saying
I-
that.
all I
think
know
it's going
that
to
it-
change.
All I know is that there's moments where people are more gullible. And when you're going through puberty, you have nothing. You don't have experience going for you. You don't have anything. You're just discovering the world. And when the environment starts allowing you to question everything, even your own existence, obviously this type of thing happens. And then when you speak with grown-ups and say, hey, why don't you hand a car to a child or a gun to a child? Oh, they're not responsible yet. Da, 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 da. But if you talk about, the sexual or gender change or whatever, oh, that's fine. I mean, if you don't affirm it, you should go to jail, or they should take your kids out of your hands. I mean, when you accept this hypocrisy, clearly something is wrong. And
You know why this is happening, Gustavo?
I read
think
some
there's not
stuff
just
probably
one
from
reason,
4chan explaining it, but
No,
I'll
no,
leave you
no.
to
There's
it.
a reason for that. There's legitimately a reason for that, and the reason for that is because we came out of the Dark Ages, we went to the Renaissance, Industrial Age, so on and so forth. Things started to move very fast, and there are a certain group of people that were oppressed. That is just true. We can talk about slavery, we can talk about women's rights, and we can talk about civil rights.
I know the only group of people in the Middle East that have zero terrorist attacks. Oh, it's just a coincidence.
What I'm trying to say is that because of the fact that we for such a long period of time we had all this dark stuff going on, and now that people started, people are getting their rights and everything, we want to self-correct ourselves. But in that grand scheme of things of trying to correct everything, we are going way far out of the spectrum, and that's why these conversations are happening. But the thing is, some things were broken, sure, and we fixed it. That's a great feat of humanity. We should do more of it. But that does not mean we need to continue to move the goalposts to the point where it's going to break again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
champagne problems, basically.
It's ship.
That's what you're saying. It's champagne problems.
No, I think it's just entropy. I mean, you get balanced just for a small period of time, and then it gets unbalanced, and then you try to balance it out again, and it's a continuous thing. But I just think, looking back, and all, it's just. I just think that we forgot how society was organized into hierarchically. Like you can talk about, financial. The financial ladder is the only thing we got used in the Western world to think about. But pretty sure, nobility and all that still exists. It's just that it's not discussed on social media. If you talk about, I read a paper the other day which was talking about, Stanford, MIT, and all that as the millionaire school. And when you talk about the billionaire school, you go to, Switzerland, some schools in the UK, because that's where they are being sent to study. And then you realize their methods are, centuries old. It's not like this new teaching techniques or all that. Like they're using stuff that is being used for centuries that are still working, and I think we lost track of that. We became very Hollywood like-minded. Everything is black and white, and there's good and bad, and that's just not how the world functions. And but reality is, as peasants as we are, we somehow well, at least, some of us, we forgot that we are peasants, and a peasant today is way better off than a peasant 150 years ago.
We got a Tesla.
Yeah, there you go, Tesla. Like a brand of cars that, just like Ferrari, has no commercials and still sells. It's a different world, and I think we need to connect back to Earth. And remember that, everything has a structure. We might not just have a good grasp of how the structure is.
You should read the book called The Dark Money by Jane Mayer. I think you'll like it. A lot of the principles that you're talking about is what she talks about in there, and how you should read it.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Jane Mayer.
The Dark Money.
It's the dark money.
That's
where you got yours from? I just want to know.
You'll see. This is how it's done. All right, gents. Been great. Wonderful. Really appreciate you. Thank you. I hope you go out there and make your millions of dollars, and I'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao.